So I'm here with Anouszka and Frankie. How are you both?
So good.
Yeah?
So good.
Very excited.
I'm excited for you. You've both been nominated Best New Voice Award for your show on Transmission Radio, Project Pleasure.
Yeah.
So what inspired you to create a project about sex?
Oh God. So I personally did a degree in the history of sex and sexuality. So I've always kind of thought, if and when I work in the media, it would be amazing to do something with that. And then Frankie came into my life, and we actually worked on a national radio station together working on the sex and relationship show. So we'd kind of turn the lights down a little bit lower on a Saturday evening and we'd be like, we both kind of like talking about sex, and we were like, where can we take this?
Yeah, and it was kind of like opening up those conversations to people and letting them know that it was okay. I think one of my biggest things is that we want to have a representation for people so they know that they can identify with us, they can identify with our guests and know that the way they feel and the sex they want to have is normal, it's okay, it doesn't have to be heteronormative. And also, I was just selfish. I was like, I want to stop having rubbish sex with rubbish people. So... yeah.
Can everyone listen and take tips, please? Yeah, no, that's good. And it's a good place to share as well, because sex is quite a taboo subject.
Yeah.
What's the response been like?
Do you know what? It's so interesting. We kind of set this up thinking we're probably talking to our younger selves, maybe young teenage women, that sort of thing. But the number of men who have kind of been like, and I think this is the beauty of audio, isn't it? That like you can put your headphones in and no one quite knows what you're listening to, so it's okay. It's not like you've got a YouTube video being like, here are some tips for sex kind of thing. So like they can just sit there and learn some stuff. We get so many messages being like, I actually didn't know that was a thing. Thank you for teaching me that. I'm going to go and talk to my partner about that. And like that's what we want, and we want to give people, like the language and the tools to be able to communicate with people,
I love like when I go to like random places and people are like, you're the girl that talks about sex, can I ask you something? And I'm like, listen, I'm gonna give this my best shot. But yeah, it's kind of nice to know like my friends are opening up with me, my family's opening up with me, and I think that's a really important thing that we talk about it in our social circles. We talk about it with our family especially, because that should be a safe place to talk about sex and learn about sex. And I actually think having good sex education from a young age in schools and with your family, and not having the shame around it, which is kind of bred at home, it starts at home, I think to kind of start changing that and create a new wave of openness about sex and pleasure, it's a really nice feeling. Totally.
And what's the response been like by your families? Have they listened to your show?
So my mum is our biggest fan.
Really?
She loves it. She'll write me like a WhatsApp with all that like bullet pointed, like I love this guest was brilliant, this is this. Because I think that's what's really nice about the way me and Frankie come at it, is that I had such like a liberal upbringing. Like I talked about sex and bodies all the time, so I'm very open about sex, and that's why as I grew up I started to realise that maybe other people weren't, and that made me really sad. I was like, I want to be able to have these conversations with everyone and everyone feel as safe as I do. And maybe Frankie's one of those people who it wasn't talked about at home, so it was nice to, between us, we're both coming at it from very different angles.
It's kind of strange how my relationship with my family and my romantic side of my life is changing. It's kind of funny because my dad is like so on board. My dad is like, he like messages me and be like, me and the women in the office were listening today and one of the ladies recommended you read Bitch Mag. And I'm like, thanks Dad. But I think yeah, my mum and my sister, like I predominantly grew up with them in the same house, and I think it was a little bit tricky for us to talk about, and still my mum can't listen to a whole episode, or hasn't listened to a whole episode. She's still super supportive, like she posts everything, but I think maybe it's a little bit too close to home for her still. But the conversations that we have now about our relationships and our sexual relationships are a lot more open, but I just think the podcast is maybe a bit too full on for her just yet. My sister, she's always asked me questions now. I gave her some condoms the other day and she gave me feedback on them, so stuff like that, yeah.
It's so good. I mean, like I do walk into family parties now and I can see them looking at me like, I know some things about you that I probably should not know, and I'm just like, just play it cool, it's fine, it's my job. It's my job, guys.
My grandpa was like, I didn't know about the hymen. Oh yeah, great to know. Like that. Like he was like talking to me about the hymen for ages, and I was like, it's not even called the hymen anymore, Grandpa. So you need to brush up there, don't you? But yeah, it was good.
Yeah, I can't imagine my parents knowing about my sex life. That's something. So kudos to both of you. Finally, being young women and creating such a bold show in the, let's face it, a male-dominated industry. How does it feel?
Do you know what? It feels really rewarding that so many men are listening to us, and I know that, you know, that sounds weird in terms of like, yes, listen to us, please, men. But I think it is really interesting that what I'm finding is that because men don't have a space to talk about these things, you know, actually women probably do, at least in friendship groups, maybe have the ability to feel a bit more open. They're allowed to be a bit more emotional. I think it's really interesting that we've managed to create this space that does seem to resonate with people of all genders. That's really lovely, I think.
Yeah, I kind of forget that it's male dominated because I'm really lucky. We're really lucky that Transmission Roundhouse is fronted and pushed and backed and led by some amazing women from very different backgrounds, from very different places, but they all come together to help us tell a story and put us on a platform. And I think that we're in a wave of radio right now where women are kind of taking the forefront, and I feel really inspired and really lucky. I know there's some work to do, there's always some work to do, and I would say across the whole music industry where I kind of work as well, there's work to do, but I actually feel like there's a wave of women in radio kind of finding and forging their way, and I focus on that and think that's the exciting thing. And I think the more we have that, the more young women can look at women in radio and go, right, I don't just need to be a presenter, I can produce, I can plug, I can write, I can script. And that for me is what Project Pleasure is about. It's putting ourselves out there and letting other people know what they can create and who they can be. So that's really exciting for me.
Yeah, definitely. Not only are you creating a safe space for people to talk about and learn from, but you're inspiring the future generations. So it's been a pleasure to talk to you both. Thank you so much.